Let's be real for a second. The dream of owning a home feels like it's slipping away for so many of us, right? I mean, prices are just insane, the competition is fierce, and the whole thing can feel, well, pretty impossible. But what if the key wasn't just about saving more money, but about who you save it with? Okay, let's get into it. So take Nathan Fiorini. This quote really says it all. He and his best friend of 10 years, Amber King, were in this exact jam up in Seattle. They were living together, their dogs were best friends, and when their lease was up, they hit a wall. Amber wanted to buy a place, but Nathan just couldn't swing it on his own. And like he said, the last thing they wanted to do was break up the family they'd built. And this is where it gets really interesting. This is how they cracked the code. The average home in Seattle is over $800,000. I mean, on their own, that was just a non-starter. But look what happens when they teamed up. By pooling their money, they were able to buy a fixer-upper for $510,000. And this wasn't just blind luck, this was a game plan. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to break down that exact strategy. We've touched on the affordability problem. Then we'll dig into this new way to buy called co-ownership, get into the nitty-gritty of how it works, talk about the risks, and you definitely need to hear these, then cover the one document that makes or breaks the whole deal, and finally, we'll help you figure out if this is something that could actually work for you. All right, let's jump right in. A new way to buy. And listen, this is not some quirky little workaround for a handful of people. We're talking about how millions are getting their foot in the door of the housing market right now. So what exactly is co-ownership? Well, at its core, it's pretty simple. You team up. You pool your money and your resources with friends, family, basically anyone you're not married to buy a house. And the crucial bit is this. Everybody's name is on the title, so you all legally own it. And you're all probably on the mortgage, too. Oh, and just to be super clear, we're not talking about a timeshare here. This is for your main home, your permanent residence. Now, if you're thinking this sounds kind of niche, take a look at this number. 61 million. Let that sink in for a second. That's how many Americans right now co-own a home with someone other than their spouse. That is huge. It's not a niche idea anymore. It's a massive, mainstream movement. And that movement is having a huge impact on the market. Just look at this. Right now, nearly a third, 30% of all home sales in the US involve co-buyers. This isn't some trend that's coming. It's here. It is literally reshaping the entire real estate landscape as we speak. Okay, so how it works. We know what it is, we know it's a big deal, but how do you, actually do it? Let's get into the nuts and bolts. Okay, first up, the mortgage. And good news, you don't need some weird special kind of loan. Lenders just look at all of you as one big applicant. They mash up all your incomes, your assets, your credit scores, and the pros? They're pretty awesome. You've got way better odds of getting approved, you can afford a bigger down payment, you split all the costs. But, and this is a big but, the cons are just as real. Everybody is on the hook for the entire payment, not just your slice of it. If one person messes up, it can tank everyone's credit. So yeah, you are financially chained together, for better or for worse. All right, when you get down to the paperwork, there are two big documents you gotta know. First is the mortgage. Simple, that's the loan. It's the debt. Lenders usually cap this at 4 people, by the way. Then there's the deed. That's the golden ticket. It proves who legally owns the place. And here's a pro tip. You can actually be on the deed, but not the mortgage. That can be a smart move if someone in your group has shaky credit. Now, how you own the property, how it's written on that deed, is absolutely critical. You've basically got 2 main flavors here. First, there's tenants in common. Think of this as flexible. Your ownership shares can be unequal, just like Nathan and Amber did, and your share can be passed down in your will to whoever you want. This is usually the go-to for friends buying together. The other one is joint tenancy. This is more rigid. Shares are always equal, and here's the kicker. If you pass away, your share automatically goes to the other owners. They call it right of survivorship. You see this a lot with engaged couples. Okay, deep breath. Let's talk about the scary stuff. Understanding the risks. This is the part where we give you a serious reality check. Because look, this whole thing is a fantastic tool, but you have got to go into it with your eyes wide open. And let me be crystal clear about what can go wrong. First, you are on the hook for the whole mortgage, not just your half. If your buddy loses their job and can't pay up, the bank doesn't care. They're coming to you for the full payment, period. And yeah, their financial problems, they instantly become a giant problem for your credit score. Oh, and remember tenants in common? If your co-owner decides to sell their share to some random person, well, guess what?
You could wake up one day co-owning your house with a total stranger. These are not little footnotes, people. These are massive risks.
So, with all that doom and gloom, how in the world do you protect yourself? Well, that brings us to maybe the single most important part of this entire explainer, the co-ownership agreement. And please hear me on this. This is not a nice little extra. It is the absolute 100% non-negotiable blueprint for making this work.
And Nathan he just nails it with this quote. The whole thing, the entire foundation, is built on being brutally honest about money. If you can't sit down and have those super awkward, uncomfortable, detailed talks about cash, you just can't buy a house together. It's a non-starter. It will absolutely fail. This agreement, this is where you hash all that stuff out. And, most importantly, get it in writing. You have to plan for what Nathan calls the ugly things, like what's the exit plan? Seriously, you need to decide how and when you're going to sell this house before you even sign the mortgage. What happens if, God forbid, someone dies? How will you resolve disagreements over a $1,000 repair or the final sale price? What if someone gets married and wants to move out or gets a job offer across the country? Think of this document as your rule book for every worst-case scenario you can imagine.
And look, let's bring it right back to Nathan and Amber. This is why their story is so great. He says it right here. Talking about all that ugly stuff up front is precisely what saved their friendship. Because they had a plan, there were no fights, and get this, now, 4 years later, they're getting ready to sell that first house and co-buy an even bigger one together. So yeah, it can totally work. So that brings us to the big question. Is co-buying for you? Let's wrap this up and boil it all down. So what should you walk away with from all this? First, co-ownership is a legit, powerful way to get over that insane affordability hurdle we're all facing. Second, this isn't some weird fringe idea anymore. It's mainstream and it's growing. But third, and this is the big one, that detailed legal agreement, it's not optional. It is everything. And finally, all of it, is built on a foundation of trust and just brutally open communication. And I want to leave you with this final thought. We're kind of conditioned to think that buying a home is something you do by yourself or maybe with a spouse. But maybe, we need to think bigger than that. So as you're thinking about your own life, just ask yourself this. Could your strongest relationship, not a romantic one, but the one with your best friend, your sibling, could that be the key to unlocking the biggest investment of your life?